to The Loud Box, an American audio podcast with your host, Elle Robinson, and I'm asking you to join me weekly as we listen, relate, and discuss the things that are unspoken, overlooked, and hidden in the back of our minds, or what I like to call the corner of denial. So engage with us. Share your story. I'll even go first regarding family, relationships, the world we live in, our mental health, and how it really and truly affects us. How you were molded by your experiences, even how you overcame them. There's really only one way to get it out, and that's to unlock the box. Hello, and welcome back to our podcast. I am your host, Elle. Let's get into it. My topic today is the relentless pendulum, which is a metaphor for the unstoppable and inevitable oscillation between two opposing extremes. Depending on the context, this serves as a symbol for several recurring patterns. Philosophically and emotionally, it represents the inescapable cycles of human experience, such as the painful swing between profound grief and unexpected joy. Societally, it describes the cyclical nature of history, politics, and culture, which repeatedly shift from one ideological extreme to another. In literature, most famously in Poe's The Pit and the Pendulum, the term symbolizes the merciless, disturbing march of time toward an inescapable fate. Commentators may suggest that society is currently experiencing a strong shift toward one end of the spectrum in areas like the polarization of politics, cultural conflicts, and economic debates. The metaphor offers a framework for viewing current turbulence not as a permanent state, but as part of a predictable, powerful, historical cycle that may eventually, inevitably, begin its slow swing back toward a center, a new equilibrium, or the opposite extreme. It suggests that the intensity and division we witness are part of a larger, unavoidable pattern of change. There is a moment, quiet, heavy, unmistakable, when you realize you want to go anywhere but here. Not because this place is unbearable, but because it is too loud to hear yourself think, too fast to remember what mattered, too full of motion to feel grounded in anything real. I imagine a train, not a destination, just movement and escape. Anywhere that feels like before, when time dragged like a slow river instead of a rushing rapid, when conversations lingered, when life didn't demand your attention in fragments or 10-second hooks. The world is accelerating. We seek any and everything faster, bigger, better, and we have no patience. I recall walking around in New York, and not a single person looked up from their phones. I never saw their eyes to present any type of pleasantries. Endless emails, network news, their updates, and people. People today, we're just so unkind. Progress sold as urgency while we sacrifice what matters most, us. Somehow, in the rush to become more advanced, top tier, the richest, the best, we've forgotten how to be present. It's really quite sad. I can't tell you the last time I saw children running around outside, actually and physically playing outside. That doesn't strike you as strange. I'm at a turning point, standing on a wet train platform in the dark. Rain slicking the platform beneath my heels. The night pressed close around me. The past hums softly behind my shoulder. Unpolished, imperfect. Everything seems so unrecognizable. The future roars ahead in a blur of speed and expectation. And for a moment, I don't move. Not at all. That's how life is nowadays. The old ways of tradition is gone. And it isn't about going backward. It's about choosing steadily to be in the moment, take it all in, and go with the flow. In this landscape of relentless digital evolution, I often ask myself, do I get on or do I step off? Get with it or find a different way. Stepping off the high-speed train of modern life would be an act of intention. The fast life demands your attention be fractured across 1,000 screens, each one requesting, pinging, texting. The slower path asks for something radical. Your focus. One conversation, one breath, one moment that isn't competing for relevance. Not many people are like that anymore, so where do you stand? There was a time when things were built to last, not just objects, but bonds. Relationships weren't optimized for efficiency. They were nurtured, tested, repaired instead of replaced. Someone got a new job, a new baby, a new whatever, or I live so far away now. And that's taking priority. So how do you reclaim the ability to connect without performance, without transaction, without the pressure to be endlessly available? One step at a time. Modern life leaves nothing to the imagination. Every thought is posted, every moment documented, every mystery resolved before it has time to deepen. The old world understood restraint. It understood silence. It understood the power of what remains unsaid. There was elegance in that. I'll say it again. There was elegance in that. There was strength in poise. The noir aesthetic isn't nostalgia. It's resistance. It's a reminder that depth does not need volume. That sophistication doesn't announce itself. That mystery is not something to solve, but something to be respected. So which way do you go? You don't flee society. You don't reject progress. You go inward. I've had to learn that a traditional sanctuary had to be built within the chaos. You decide what gets access to you. You slow your steps enough to feel the ground beneath your heels. You wear the diamonds, keep the curls, and move through the world with intention instead of urgency. The pendulum will always exist. It isn't going anywhere, but you are not required to move with it. At times, the strongest decision you can make is to pause, to stand still long enough to recall who you were before the noise, the pressure, and the expectations that reshaped you into someone else. If there's a train waiting, I say get on it. It doesn't need a destination. And I know, I get it. Standing still. In a world addicted to momentum feels almost rebellious. There's pressure to prove movement, to show progress, to justify your place by how quickly you adapt. But stillness, it has its own intelligence. It allows truth to rise to the surface. It exposes what you've been outrunning. In the quiet, you hear which desires are yours and which were handed to you by a culture that profits from your exhaustion. I personally feel this exhaustion almost every day. The past we long for was not perfect, but it was human. It felt like living rather than surviving. It allowed room for error, for forgiveness, for growth that wasn't measured in metrics. Time wasn't something to conquer or rush. It was something to inhabit. Days unfolded instead of collapsing. People arrived fully engaged, willingly, without needing to be summarized, filtered, or optimized for quick consumption, because their phones needed their attention more. The future promises convenience, speed, and endless connection, yet it often delivers introverts, isolation, and distance. We speak more with our fingers, but say so much less with our time, touch, or by just simply being there. We rarely sit in the moment. My aunt, To this day, I've never heard her say, "I love you" to her grandchildren. I never saw her hug them. I don't see people in general saying it. It's nearly a lost art. Times have changed. We share constantly, but reveal almost nothing. We communicate endlessly, but understanding grows shallow. There's no substance. Depth is lost, and there's no real attachment to each other. We are losing us. Choosing the tradition is choosing discernment. It's deciding that not everything deserves your response. It's understood that refinement comes from subtraction, not accumulation. I, for one, have got to keep this in mind. From knowing when to step back, when to observe, and when to let the moment speak for itself. So, the train remains where it is, idling in the rain, not as an escape, but as a symbol. You don't board it to disappear. You board it to remember. And whether you stay on the platform or ride into the dark, the choice is the same. To live deliberately, with grace, and on your own terms, no matter which direction the world insists on moving next. Until next time.